Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel on this beautiful winter day. We got some sun out today, so it's going to be quite nice. As you can see around me, we've gotten a little bit of snow. A lot of it's melted away, but we've gotten a good bit of snow over the past couple of weeks. So I decided I'd bring you out here to one of my favorite spots, right next to the forest here, which there's a table that I could bring you along on this little trip of mine. Anyway, what I want to do today is that we're going to talk about what I carry with me personally on winter campouts. I prefer to do a lot more camping in the fall and winter time period than I do in the summertime. It's because there are less people out and about, there are less insects and bugs, and it's just such a nicer atmosphere around a fire, this kind of stuff. So I tend to go out in the woods more often in the wintertime. So what I carry with me changes from the summer to the wintertime. But it doesn't change that much. I change primarily a few things. One thing I change is I change my sleeping arrangements or sleeping garments. I will either not use a sleeping bag and use a poncho liner, or I'll use my lightweight summer sleeping bag. Another thing I do is that because in the wintertime I need more gear, I will not use my summer 30-liter bag, which I use for almost everything. I'll use my larger 60-liter bag, which is the Blaze. This is the Granite Gear Blaze, actually. And I have managed to do really long distance trips in the summertime with it, and in the wintertime, I've managed to do some really good trips with it also. I can get everything I need inside of it. I also have a larger rucksack, about an 80-liter rucksack that I use also in the wintertime. It really depends, but I'm sort of trying to stick with this one right here. This one right here usually fits what I need to do and what I like, and I'm able to get everything I need inside of it. I just got to compact it. Anyway. Another thing that I use primarily in the wintertime is I up my sleeping bag. So like I just said, I have a larger sleeping bag system here. Now this right here, I leave it lofty. There's actually two bags inside that bag right there. It's not just one. So I have a summer bag and a winter bag inside there. Depending on the temperature, usually the winter bag is enough for Switzerland. I mean, I have been in situations where it just wasn't enough, but in general, that's plenty enough. I use, and this right here is just, like I said, it's just a waterproof bag, so I always waterproof my sleeping bag. That's one of my primary things I do. It sort of disturbs me to see people put their sleeping bag, not waterproof the sleeping bag and just use a rain cover on their back, on their backpack. It's just not enough. Water, I found out through 10 years in the infantry and the army, that water will get in there no matter what you do. So avoid that. Another thing for sleeping gear I do is I always carry my thermarest mats right here. This right here is something I always have with me because you can even sit on it if it's a little bit wet out or damp out. You can fold up and sit on it. So this right here covers a lot of different things. And I always have my now with age, I carry a thermarest ultra lightweight, very large, very wide air mattress also. And I carry this right here because I want to continue getting up off the ground a little bit more, and yeah. And so what I do is I use my Tyvek sheeting, and then I throw this on the ground, then I throw this above it, and then I get on top of that and I sleep. And I've never not been comfortable like that. It's always been very good. A lot of people, they go to they use insulated air mattresses, this kind of stuff. Yeah, you can use that, but I think if you get high enough off the ground, you won't have that problem. And if you insulate yourself enough off the ground, you won't have that problem. So yeah, you can even carry an extra blanket with you or something to have a little bit more extra insulation if you need it. But anyway, that's usually enough for me. I just spent some time in the mountains not too long ago. It was quite cold at night. It got down to I think it was down to 7 degrees Celsius, which is, I think it's in the 40s. I'm not sure in Fahrenheit, but it got pretty cold, and I was completely fine with that. And I only used a poncho liner, so I was actually okay. So that's what I do for that. Then what I do also is I actually have my standard. Now you can go with a tent. I don't like going with a tent if I don't have to. I prefer to go with this is an Australian Army issued tarp that I've been using for many years. You can see it on my website, on the Helvetiabushcraft.ch website. You see photographs of it. I've had this thing right here for a very long time. Another car's coming. This is like the second time now. Anyway, coming out here to walk their dogs. Anyway, so we'll just keep driving on. But this right here is, it works very well for me, and it works very well. Kept me dry, it's kept me comfortable. I've never had any problems with it. And they decided not to stay here because I'm filming, I guess. But yeah, a lot of people do come out here to the forest and enjoy it. Sadly, he's driving off. No, he's gonna park over there, I think, yeah. Anyway, we'll be in the video for this dog. But yeah, so I've used right here. I do use tents but it depends on what I'm doing. Actually, I have, and the tent brand that I normally use is Hilleberg. I've sold Hillebergs in the past. I find them to be some of the best brands of tents. I have a couple of 1-mans. I have a 2-man tent, and I even have an 8-man. And it's I used to take it out with the family all season long. And the only thing that was bad about it is that I didn't have a stove system, nor does it have a hole in the top of it, so you can use it as a hot tent. But it would definitely work really well for that. The 8-man tent would. Anyway, so I take that also. Another thing I adapt to is the clothing I use. Now you see me right here. This is a polyfill jacket. It's not a down jacket. I don't follow the rules when it comes to down jackets, except that here in this part of Europe, it's too humid for down, so I tend to not use it. I know it's lighter, but the problem is that once it starts gaining humidity and this kind of stuff, it holds on to it. It's hard to dry out, so I prefer it loses a lot of protection. So I prefer just to use non-down jackets and clothing. I prefer the synthetic stuff, or I use wool, and this is a wool watch cap I have several of them. This is one of them that I wear, but I also use a lot of wool shirts and undergarments and t-shirts and stuff. So it's really the way I like to go. And so even my sling bag, when we're speaking about the filling, this right here is like a G-loft filling or a synthetic filling. So and the sling bags that I use are actually the U.S. Army issue one, the ECWC, the woodland camouflage version that comes with the Gore-Tex cover. And if it's a bit wet, I will bring the Gore-Tex cover with me just to protect me from any kind of sheeting rain. But usually what I'll do is I'll actually drop my my tarp down as low as I can, and yeah, and that usually works fine. I haven't tried a lot of the new methods where people are using more of an A-frame, like up against a tree coming down. I haven't tried that yet. I'm definitely going to try it next time I'm out. But in general, my tarp system is set up in a roof pitch, and I can adjust it, and it usually works very well for me. Now, something else I carry with me, I do have this right here is an insulated sweater, actually from Patagonia. I've had this right here for many years. I thought I'd lost it one time. I almost cried. It was just so devastating for me, but I love it, and the color is quite good. It's like a light green with a dark green outer, but I really like this jacket right here. It's a really good liner. I tend to wear it more if I'm static. I don't tend to wear a lot of stuff. What I tend to mostly wear around the campfire is my wool shirts, and I have several of these. And this is all backed up from my time in the Army. When I was stationed in Washington State, we got issued the M1950 Army Jack shirt, and I loved that shirt. It itched like crazy, but it was one of the best filled shirts ever. And at that time, we were wearing olive green uniforms, so I could easily wear it without having to wear the olive green jacket, or just throw my fill jacket over it. But in general, it worked fantastic. So I have a tendency to like the wool jack shirts, and so this one right here is from Prometheus, I think it's called, out of San Francisco. It's not cheap, but you know what? I've had this thing right here now going on, I would say 5-6 years, and I have a second one which is a little bit thicker. But this right here is starting to get worn out a little bit under the arms, but the rest, I need to have that repaired, but the rest of it's fantastic. Another thing I use, which is pretty much old school, and that's a Piltro cotton tightly woven smock. And this one here is one that I got from the United Kingdom. I have two of these, one in desert tan and one in olive. And it's basically the British Army smock that's been made in this Piltro, which is what they use, Piltro material. What it does is that it's a really good windproof jacket, and you can actually spray it to protect it. You can even wax it if you want to. I don't do any of that. Once it gets a little bit wet, it actually expands and it completely becomes more windproof and a lot more waterproof. That with a wool liner, a wool shirt underneath of it, you're actually quite good. But I do around camp, even for sleeping stuff, I have some not down, but I have insulated pants. These are here Arc'teryx, the same as a jacket right here. And then I have an old Patagonia vest that I've had for many, many years. This is probably, you know, I use it actually even in the Army. It's just a vest I can slip over my head, pull it off real quick, and I've worn it forever, and I love it. It's a really good one. So these vests are actually quite good because then you can layer your torso, but you have your arms still free. And I'm a quite warm person, so it works like that. I carry with me also a bag, a waterproof bag, and I have extra wool socks in there. And I'll throw in a pair of I'll use just regular nylon type of underwear that dries super fast. I used to not wear underwear when I was in the Army, and I wish I had these right here. These right here work fantastic. That's the best thing I've ever had. No friction, keeps you warm, keeps your package together, this kind of stuff. And I have a lightweight also, either wool or synthetic t-shirt with a neckerchief, you know, and I have it, keep that in a waterproof bag, and that goes inside my rucksack also, and I keep it separate from my sleeping bag waterproof. That way I can pull it out. I don't have to, because once the sleeping bag's out, I don't want to, you know, have to, you know, I keep my stuff sort of arranged a little bit. Then when it comes to hands, you know, your hands are very important. So I have some all leather gloves here, lightweight leather gloves with some liners here. And I also have lined gloves, also work gloves. I have a couple pairs of these right here, and I bring these with me. Now, they don't keep your hands super warm, and once they get wet, you know, your hands are gonna be wet. So I have two pair. But around camp, around the fire, I'll put them on when I'm cooking and this kind of stuff. Let's go to tools. Tools, I have the standard tools I normally always carry me. There are about 5 tools that I carry me to the woods. One's a good hand axe. Just right here's my medium length one right here, and I just put a protective layer of 550 cord on it because it got hit by, I lent it to somebody and they banged it up a little bit, so it sort of irritated me. But it's a really good axe, keep it sharp. I have my trusty knife, fixed blade knife, a full tang with a fire starter, ferrocene rod. I have a handsaw on me. I'm looking at possibly getting myself a bigger handsaw to make life a little bit easier when it comes to work in the woods, but that's the tools. And I carry with me also a little Swiss Army knife, and on it I have an owl and some scissors and a blade, and I have a file, this kind of stuff on it, and that usually works well. I also have a crooked knife that I use if I go in the woods and I want to work on some projects like making a wool, you know, a wood cup or something like that, or a bowl or something like that. I'll bring that with me. But in general, it depends on what the activities I got planned. Usually, sadly, when I get in the woods, I end up teaching. So because I'm teaching, I don't have the chance to work on little projects that I like to work on. So after that, I have my possibles bag, and inside here, I have everything I need, and you can see videos on this right here. From, you know, I have my compass, some cord. I have my a headlamp in it with some extra batteries. I have some waxed string in here on a roll with some needles and a few other items that I keep in here. So this right here, of course, it goes with me, and it's my possible bag, and it's not completely full, so I can always add stuff to it. Then let's talk about something that's very important. And one thing I do also is when I go out in the summertime, I don't carry so much when it comes to a fire kit. I carry my fire kit roll here, and inside this right here, I have everything I need. I have a metal tin in it, a brass tin in it, and I have 4 or 5 forms of fire lighting inside of it, plus what I know in my head to make friction lighting. And this is in a little canvas roll I got right here, and I really like this a lot. I even have some fat wood in here and some other items I can use to get a fire going. But in the wintertime, I will plan ahead, and I carry extra tinder. And the reason why is because you don't know what's going to happen when you get out there. I'm not the most perfect fire maker in the world. I've had my struggles, but if you're cold and wet, you want to quickly make a fire. Having that dry tinder with you, it goes to plan. So I keep it in these little waterproof like bags right here. This right here is birch, and this right here is actually a bunch of cattail stuff in it. And I even have some matches in there just in case. So I carry that with me, okay, along with my fire kit. Now, Something else I carry with me always, and that's a little notebook inside here with a pencil. I have my map, my compass with my my love beads on there, and I have an extra headlamp. I tend to carry an extra headlamp because it seems like every time I go camping, there's somebody who didn't bring something with them, so I'll carry another. And also for lighting, I have one of these 100-hour candles, and I have lanterns. The candle lantern, I have this right here, and I have it's got a candle in it. I had to say I've never used another candle. I've used it I don't know how many times. I've never used this candle out, and then I have 3 extra candles just in case. But the advantage of that is you can actually help somebody else that got one, or you can just light it and put it on top of something. And yeah, I had this right here with me. That's my lighting and stuff. On top of that, I have my water bottle inside here. This is a typical, it's just a steel water bottle with the cup. Even has a little cooker on the bottom of it, which I tend to not use so much. I prefer to use other things like this right here. I have this this kit right here that I carry with me, and this is the Kunzi cooker. I have this with me. You can see pictures and video of it also. And it's heavy, but I'll stick it in there because the advantage of that is I can actually make a nice a fire, either, you know, depending on the time of the year, this kind of stuff. I can, or you know, more leave no trace. I can make a good fire in here, and I'll actually bring with me a bag of charcoal because the problem is that the woods here are primarily spruce, and it burns so fast when it's dry. So I'll bring some charcoal with me, and to cook with, and it's just much better, and it's actually quite good for warm. Also, you can actually have it up close to you and keep yourself warm with it also. Also inside my canteen, I have a spoon and fork and this kind of stuff in there, and I have the, like I said, but the canteen cup I can cook inside of it also. But I also have my my larger pot right here. I have 2 of these. I have a smaller one. I have this larger one right here. And for the wintertime, I tend to want to take this with me because I can boil water up, you know, melt snow, this kind of stuff up in it, and it's actually quite good. And I keep it inside of a bag, and then inside of it, I'll keep other items inside of it also. I'll even put food in there, dry foods, this kind of stuff inside of it for transporting. Of course, I have my my wooden cup right here. I have 2 cups, but this one here I may use for heating something up in it, making some ramen or whatever, or some soup. This one here I'll use for drinking, you know, whatever, and even drinking water out of it directly. So it's nice to have use it as a bit of a ladle, you know. A lot of people tend to carry these on the outside of their rucksacks because they claim that it gets wet, it'll be in your backpack, this kind of stuff. I've never seen that happen. And you can always sand it out if you need to a little bit. But I have a mesh bag on the outside of my ruck. And the other ruck, I have a mesh pouch on my main ruck also, right here on the outside of it. And I can just slide it in there if it's damp, you know. But in general, it's not, you know. And if I'll pull it out, want to dip some water out or something, I can do it real quick and easy. Of course, I carry my first aid kit. And in the wintertime, you might want to add a few other items in it, but in general, you know, it's complete. You can see a video on this right here also. I do have a wash kit because it's imperative to keep yourself clean in the wintertime. You know, your body produces a lot of fats and oils, this kind of stuff, and sometimes you need to get that off, that funk off of you. So it also helps protect your sleeping bag a little bit. So I have my wash kit, and also inside of here is you know, wet wipes, this kind of stuff here for cleaning up with. Now I have a food bag. And inside my food bag is my dry foods, this kind of stuff. I keep my food in a bag so I don't want it to have an accident, be distributed all over the rucksack. And I have a small pot there, which you can see that green pot down there. And inside that I have condiments and some wash stuff in there. And I can actually cook on that if I need to. But in general, I don't. I just use that for what it is. But anyway, this is primarily my winter kit, what I carry with me to the woods. And you can now add to it. It depends on you if you have the space. You can take away from it if you think you can handle it. I have actually been on campouts where the only thing I used was what I had on me, and then my 35-liter pack with a few items in it. And I carried just a blanket and a tarp, actually an oil or wax tarp actually, and just made a long fire, made a lean-to. You don't necessarily have to put a tarp up, you know, for protection, especially if it's snowing really heavy. I like to get up under spruce trees, make myself a spot under that. It's never failed me. I also use debris to build myself, or you know, I can build myself quickly a shelter. and that works. And if you're a group of people, you can build yourself a really nice shelter in no time, actually. There's a really interesting video on YouTube you can find. It's actually winter warfare training up in, I think it's up in Alaska or something like that. And it's made 1950s, all black and white, but it's so interesting because you get to see how the soldiers there, how they perform in the wintertime. And you can see some of the shelters they use, the old school backpacks and equipment that they had, and how they layered their clothing, which is quite interesting, from t-shirts, wool long underwear, to their wool jack shirt, to their field jacket liner, to their field jacket, the 1950 actually, and then above that a winter parka setup, which was basically the piltrol material like what I have here, but it's the very big one, the long one. They had the M65 pants also with the windproof pants on the outside with the liners all in them, and then they would down, when you're moving, that's something else it's important to remember, is that when you're moving you need to dress down. I'll wear for a hike just my, and when it comes to pants, I don't normally wear long johns under my pants. I can carry them with me, but in general, because I move so much, and the pants I wear are actually these Helicon stretch pants. These stretch pants are a big thing now, and they're like really lightweight Pertex, and they work very well. But you got to be careful around the fire with them, If you get yourself a nice pair of wool pants, that'd be actually pretty good, some old surplus wool pants. But I'll tend to just hike with my my winter boots, wool socks, underwear, a wool t-shirt, my wool jack shirt, and long pants, and a little hood or something like that, something on my head, with my gloves, with my ski poles. And the ski pole is something I also always carry with me, just for, to have that balance, that kind of stuff. And there's so many things that can be used for also. But yeah, I tend to use those things when I'm moving around. It helps keep me stable, helps me with my movement, this kind of stuff, and makes it a lot more comfortable. Anyway, something else when it comes to food, I wanted to bring up with you also, and that is that in the wintertime you might want to bring more food with you. Higher protein food, higher fats, higher carbohydrates, kind of stuff, because you're going to need that energy. You're going to need that those fats, that kind of stuff. So quite often when we go out, we build a fire and we grill on this kind of stuff. So, but make sure you bring yourself some proper food, not just dehydrated stuff. Dehydrated stuff's good, but it's good to bring some proper food also, and cook over the fire, and you guys just hang out, and I've seen people do some very elaborate stuff. It always shocks me to see that, but then they carry it all in, but then they come in, they have a little small lightweight sleeping bag. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Why do you have a lightweight sleeping bag? The fire is not going to keep lit all night. You're going to get cold, so it's good to have a really good warm insulated sleeping bag, good insulation off the ground. If you have some wind, protect yourself from the wind, build yourself some kind of structure to do that also. If you want to use a tent, use a tent. If you don't. I know people who do this hammock camping in wintertime. They use a lot of insulated stuff. I'm just thinking, like, all this extra gear, why don't you just, I understand there might be a comfort thing involved that, but for me, I'm not comfortable with hammocks anyway. I snore too much. Wake up with a dry throat. But anyway, that's it. That's pretty much sums it up. And if you have any questions about what I carry or why I carry it, please leave comments down in the comment section. Please, like my videos, because that helps with the algorithms, that kind of stuff, and share, and give me a thumbs up, and yeah, enjoy. Like I said, if you have any comments, please leave them down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer. I answer all the comments. So thanks again, and I hope you all have a happy winter and a happy experience over the holidays. But get out and enjoy as much as possible. There's nothing says you can't get out in the wintertime and enjoy the crisp air and camp. And especially with friends, it's always a great time. Anyway, take care of yourselves and have a good day. Bye.